We're just this close, this much closer, Mark Bergen, to legalize sports betting in the state of North Carolina.
And we're
much closer.
And we're gonna have
Loving it.
We're gonna have WRAL sports investigative reporter Brian Murphy on, and whenever Murph appears anywhere now, we're gonna just have to have that song ready, queued up, ready to go.
Well, let's go right to it. Let's go right to the Heister Automotive Group hotline. Let's bring on Brian Murphy. Brian Murphy, can I bet today? Yes, right? Yes.
No, you cannot.
Yeah,
bet today.
I know that. I know I can't bet today.
I like that walk-up music though.
That is 100% your walk-up music from now on. Graham, mark that down. That's your walk-up music. All right, Brian Murphy, WRAL sports investigative reporter, joining us here in the Heister Automotive Group hotline. So the Senate twice this week said, yeah, legalize sports gambling. It goes through. By all indications, what the state Senate just passed has to go back to the House of Representatives. By all indications, the House is going to concur. They're going to pass this. So what's next? What's the next step for this after the House approves it next week?
Yeah, the House Speaker said that they are going to concur Tuesday and Wednesday. Then it will go to the governor. And Roy Cooper's been very supportive of sports gambling throughout this entire process, so I don't think they'll run into any problems there. And then it's law, it's law. But that doesn't mean you can bet. The bill does not take effect, or the first possible date for bets would be January 8th, 2024, so about 7 months away from now. But because there's some concerns about how quickly the Lottery Commission can award these 12 licenses and get this up and running, the bill includes language that would give them up to 1 year from when it becomes law, so till next June at some point to get it up and running. Now, I think they're going to push and try to hit that January 8th date or somewhere right around that January 8th date. But just know that this could go on for at least another year before bets are legal in North Carolina.
I didn't want to hear that. that. Okay, so it has the State Lottery Commission. When you talk about these licenses, we're also all right. So these sports gambling companies, BetMGM, FanDuel, DraftKings, Caesars, all these places. Why is it only 12? Why can't it be open to more?
That's a good question, and some people argued that it should be open to more, that this is creating kind of a monopoly. Now, you want those licenses to have some value. Mm-hmm. They're charging $1 million for each of those licenses.
Oh, wow.
So if you gave out 60 of them, maybe they wouldn't be worth $1 million. But so I think they're trying to keep some constraints on it, but at the same time have enough licenses. So it's not 2 or 3 licenses, we're talking 12. So have enough that there is enough competition in the market without diluting the value of the licenses. I think that's the rationale behind the 12.
Murph, I hope they've given you a cot down on Jones Street, because I feel like you've been there all week this week. If this gets passed, House Speaker Tim Moore has mentioned the possibility of building 4 entertainment districts. Do you have any idea of where those 4 entertainment districts could be?
Sure, and that's separate from this, but we're talking about full brick and mortar Vegas style casinos that the legislature is now talking about putting in. Economically distressed is probably the best term for it. Parts of the state. So Wake County's not getting one. Mecklenburg County's not getting one.
Oh, come on.
The three counties that have been specifically mentioned, and this was in a survey, and I asked him more about it today, and he said, well, you're very good at geography. Rockingham County, Anson County, and then Nash County. Nash County is where Rocky Mount is. Rockingham County is right by Danville, Virginia, and I don't think that's a coincidence, given that they're putting a casino. Caesars is putting a casino in Danville, Virginia, that North Carolina lawmakers are very worried is going to pull a lot of North Carolina residents up there. Senator Berger told a sort of an anecdotal story that a friend of his went there and said 80% of the license plates were North Carolina license plates.
Wow.
This is just the temporary facility. This isn't the full casino that's actually going to go in Danville. So I think they're looking at it as an economic development tool. What are parts of the state that have lagged behind? We've seen tremendous growth here in the Triangle. We've seen tremendous growth in Mecklenburg County and Charlotte, but there are parts of the state that are not doing as well. And then you think about the western part of the state is kind of choked off from casinos because they already have the Cherokee Casino there. So what parts of the state are economically disadvantaged and not really in the home market of another casino? So that's why I think some of those counties I just mentioned are places to look for where these entertainment districts might go.
Brian Murphy, WRAL Sports investigative reporter, joining us here on the Heister Automotive Group hotline alongside Mark Bergen. Dennis Cox here with you. Now, something we talked about, sports books at physical locations. For example, locally here, PNC Arena is the site that keeps popping up. You talked to Centennial Authority Chairman Philip Isley, or he talked to the board, the Centennial Authority board. Looks like we might not just have one sports book at PNC, but two.
Yeah,
How's that
really
going to work?
This is really interesting. I've read through the bill time and time again, and I'm not sure I have a clear answer on it, but I've been told that if you read the language, you can put a sports book on your facility, so in your facility, and then you can put one up to a half a mile away.
Oh,
a
okay.
half mile radius. So what Isley told the board during the public part of their hearing today was that there could be one in PNC Arena and then one off-site, but somewhere on their property, and they could both be operating. Probably the outside one would be open 24/7. I'm not sure every facility. There was about 8 in-person facilities. There are 8 in-person facilities that would be able to have sports books. I'm not sure all of them would be able to have 2 sports books just because of space and other constraints. But
Sure.
But PNC Arena does look like, obviously it has a lot of room outside. The Hurricanes have talked about developing that land. So we could be seeing a situation where there might be even up to 2 sports books at PNC Arena. And you'd be able to bet in-person cash money at these sports books. I've called them sports lounges for a long time because you would have to have the app in order to bet. You'd have to have your cell phone. But under the new bill, the one that passed the Senate is going to likely become law, you would be able to walk into a sports book at PNC Arena and put a $20 bill down on the Carolina Hurricanes. No questions asked.
So conceivably, you'd be able to place a bet even if you're not going to the game. So like if I'm tailgating, say, outside the arena, outside Carter Finley Stadium, I'd be able to go to this facility. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, that's 100% correct. I mean, you'd be able to pull out your phone and place a bet on your phone,
Sure.
Anytime, probably at halftime of the game, in the first quarter of the game. But these facilities will be open, and part of that is the activation, right? It's a kind of a corporate buzzword, but they want the building activated. They want people coming to the building more than just when Carolina Hurricanes are playing or when NC State men's basketball is playing, or in PNC or at Bank of America Stadium. Just there's only 10. Panthers games a year between the preseason and the regular season. Now, I know they have other events there, but they want more people coming to these facilities. The facilities cost a lot of money. They want more people coming out to them. And if there's a great restaurant and bar and sports book there, they think this is a way to bring more people out to those arenas.
Brian Murphy, WRAL Sports investigative reporter. This gets into my next thing. I know you and I have had a conversation with Philip Isley of the Centennial Authority, the chairman there, about the development around PNC Arena and sports gambling and all this stuff. It all ties in together. The upgrades to the arena, sports betting being legalized, it all ties together. Did Isley mention anything about how this would maybe speed up the process with the negotiations with Tom Dundon and the Carolina Hurricanes about getting the upgrades around PNC that they're looking for?
Yeah, I mean, all this stuff does tie together. There's those long-term lease negotiations happening right now. The board got an update on those. We were not allowed in that part of the meeting. We were just told that talks are progressing and they're making progress. But yeah, the city and the county have to come together with money for the renovations. The long-term lease is important. The development rights to the area around PNC are very important, and so all this kind of works together, and I'm not sure who has to go first, but certainly I think having the sports book is something that the Hurricanes wanted desperately. Don Waddell, in addition to trying to build a Stanley Cup champion hockey team, has been at the legislature meeting with lawmakers, before the session started, trying to explain to them why it's so important that North Carolina get sports betting, that it's a huge revenue stream that the Hurricanes cannot take advantage of right now, but other rivals in the NHL can.
Yep.
And so they have pushed very hard on this. This is a win for lots of supporters in the legislature and others, but maybe the biggest win is for the professional sports teams in the state that have pushed this for years and years.
And how much money are we talking about in terms of money left on the table of, okay, right now online sports gambling isn't legal in North Carolina compared to a state that has pro sports teams where they have a book already inside the stadium or the arena? How much money are we talking, Murph?
Yeah, the projections are that within 5 years of this bill getting implemented and the licenses being awarded and everybody getting up to speed, that we could be looking at about $100 million in tax revenue for the state of North Carolina and about $7 billion bet. So that would be $100 million for the state and about a $7 billion handle. Now, obviously, they have to pay out their winnings, so that's not all profit for the sports gambling operators. But at an 18% tax rate, if you do the math, and the state's getting $100 million, that the operators would be getting close to $600 million. from gambling in North Carolina.
That's a lot of money. That's a lot of cash being floating around. Brian Murphy, WRAL Sports investigative reporter, joining us here in the Keystone Automotive Group hotline. Thanks for your time. Check out his work on WRAL.com and WRALSportsFan.com to keep up with the latest. Thanks for your time. We'll definitely talk to you in the near future about all this.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Dennis.
Again,